With me now is John Spencer, U.S. military analyst and chair of war studies at the Madison Policy Forum. Thank you very much for being here with us, sir.
Thank you for having me.
So we are hearing that Iran's supreme leader was killed. How much of a blow will that be to the Iranian regime?
It's a major blow. I mean, a war is a contest of wills. Of course, there are plenty of other leaders, and of the 30 IRGC or Iranian generals that Israel killed during the 12-day war, that continues. But it is a cognitive blow as much so as it is a actual blow to the command and control of the IRGC, which there are many leaders.
What are the realistic risks of this spiraling into a full-scale regional war?
Well, definitely always a risk, and you've seen even minutes ago the Islamic regime in Iran attacking, continuing to attack, basically, many of its Gulf state border areas, neighbors, basically, to include Israel as well. I don't think that there's a risk that this is a regional war. I think we're already there, but this is a U.S.-led, Israel-supported, and with Israel operation with very specific objectives that the President Trump laid out that you played.
How much risk could there be to civilians?
There's always risk, and I actually, a really unfortunate comments right before I came on by the United Nations. I mean, I think the risk was what we saw the Islamic regime doing to its population, signaling that they didn't want to live in the economic conditions in which they created, as the Islamic regime only cares about its terrorism, that the 30,000+ that were killed in January, the 50,000+ imprisoned, there's always risk to civilians, plenty of what we call civilian harm mitigation, and of the 900+ targets that you've seen targeted thus far in this operation, that, very precision attacks of Iranian leadership, military sites, ballistic missile capabilities, and others is important, and that the Iranian and other country civilians seek, precautionary measures of protection, moving away from windows and things like that, that all the alerts that we're seeing are telling people to do.
Now, Iran is retaliating, targeting Israel and U.S. assets in multiple Middle Eastern countries. Several Gulf states intercepted Iranian missiles. What does that tell you about regional air defense coordination and preparedness?
That this was, and according to the United States, an operation that was planned months in advance to include with our Gulf state allies and partners to ensure that they were prepared for what has been not only missile, but also the Shahed drones carrying lots of munitions, and that there's a lot of air defense cooperation happening, not just with the United States and Israel, but other partner forces trying to stop the Islamic regime from escalating this and targeting civilian locations in many nations. It seems to be some type of an act of desperation, as these countries were not directly involved in this Operation Epic Fury that's going on.
Is there still a military or diplomatic off-ramp at this stage, or are both sides now locked into escalation?
Absolutely not. I mean, war is politics by other means. There's always a diplomatic off-ramp, and that was offered many times up to this moment, and will be continued to be offered to significant leaders in Iran, to be specific. And there's also psychological warfare of trying to get Iranian generals to defect and basically end this. But there's always a diplomatic off-ramp, and you will probably see, if we haven't already, the UN Security Council emergency meetings, things like that, trying to get the Islamic regime to come to terms with what's happening. And I believe we're seeing the start of the regime change. Although that's a byproduct of this operation, not a specific goal, we're seeing that happen in real time.
All right, that is our time. John Spencer, thank you very much for being here.
Thank you.
Once again, that's John Spencer, U.S. military analyst and chair of war studies at the Madison Policy Forum.